Today I'm going to address two of the most frequent comments that you guys leave on my videos. One, can you do a full walk around of all your mods on your 2020 Ecodiesel Jeep Wrangler? And second, can you tell us how much it would cost to build your rig? So I'm going to let you know right at the start, to build this rig would cost over $100,000. And that's including the cost of my Ecodiesel Jeep Wrangler. I'm going to use all MSRP prices in today's video, but there's lots of deals to be had out there. And as well, you can probably get a bit, well, maybe you can get a bit of a deal on a new Wrangler. If you want to know exactly what I paid for my Wrangler, I'll put a video up in the corner of when I purchased it. I walked through all the options I got, as well as exactly what I ended up paying out the door and with taxes. So today we're going to do a walk around broken down by 3 sections. We're going to do suspension and steering, we're going to do exterior mods, and then we're going to do interior mods. And I'll walk you through all of the things that are installed on this Jeep and tell you how much each of them would cost to buy. As well, I'll put some links down in the description below if you want to check some of them out. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing gloves, it is the middle of December here in Canada, and probably one of the coldest days we've had yet. So I was setting up the Jeep, my hands are absolutely freezing, so I had to throw some gloves on. And real quick before we get started, as I mentioned, I live in Canada, so all the prices are going to be in Canadian. The current exchange rate would mean that prices in USD would be about 78% of what they are here in Canadian. Now, the first stop we're going to make is with our suspension. This has been one of the areas that has changed a few times since initially lifting the Jeep. I started off with a Teraflex RT2 short arm lift kit. I had the 3.5-inch springs in there, which were rated for the gas model Jeep. Mine with the diesel engine weighs more, and we ended up not really getting the lift height that I wanted to out of it. So I ended up switching to some springs from Clayton Off-Road. I went with their 3.5-inch Overland springs, but then in the back, we also put a 1.5-inch spacer, which came from Teraflex. So I did replace all of the control arms, track bars. We put Teraflex's speed bump stops in the front, and as well on the steering we put in a Steer Smarts Yeti XD tie rod and drag link, as well as the Synergy sector shaft brace and track bar bracket up top. So as far as cost goes, the Teraflex RT2 short arm kit with the included springs, the track bars, the bump stops is going to set you back about 5,500 bucks Canadian. Now to swap out the springs again, the Clayton Overland 3.5-inch springs are about 500 bucks. Then to add the Teraflex speed bumps to the front is $600. I also have Teraflex's drop brackets on the front control arms to help with some of that highway stability. Those are $250. And the big additional cost here is going to be the Falcon 3.3 adjustable shocks, which I have really been enjoying, being able to switch from soft to firm from highway to trails. But a set of those Falcon 3.3 shocks is going to be around $2,600 for all 4. Moving into the steering, the Steer Smarts Yeti XD tie rod is $575. The drag link from Steer Smarts is $600, and the sector shaft brace is about 280 bucks. Now I've also put on some more durable diff covers from Dana, and those were about $400 for the pair, and I put on the Rancho glide plates, and those are about 440 bucks. And that's going to help protect the both the differential from impacts hitting with rocks, as well the glide plates will protect the drain plug on the bottom of the diffs, which I think is just a terrible design to have your drain plug right on the bottom that's going to be always hitting rocks. So all total for the suspension and steering and all the other accessories that we just talked about, we're looking at about $11,745 plus taxes. Here in BC, there's 12% tax on top of that. So that also doesn't include any labor. And if you're not doing this yourself and getting a shop to install it, you're probably looking at another $1,000 to $2,000 in shop labor to have all those suspension mods installed on your rig. Let's move out of steering suspension and talk about the rest of the exterior mods, which is making this a very capable Overland and off-road rig to go anywhere we need to. We definitely have to stop and take a minute to talk about the wheels and tire combo. I'm running Teraflex's Nomad wheels, and I'm always talking about these in the video because of the air down valves that they have on them and just how easy it is to air down your wheels by just turning that valve and it'll stop at the preset PSI that you've set up. And wrapped around those Teraflex Nomad wheels, we have 37 by 12.5 inch Nitto Trail Grappler tires. Now the thing with the Trail Grapplers, Well, two things with the trail grapplers. One, they have a different lug pattern on each side, so you can go for either this more angular look or a more square and blocky look on the other side. And the other thing that I found out when buying these tires, because I wanted 13.5-inch tires, is the 12.5-inch Nitto trail grapplers are like 13.4 inches wide. So they are wider than a normal 12.5-inch tire, which I believe still to this day, they don't make a 37 by 13.5 in a trail grappler. Okay, moving along to the front of the Jeep. I get a lot of questions about what bumper I'm running. This is the stock bumper from Jeep. It's the steel bumper. We've just removed the end caps. We've added a Warn winch plate kit to it to allow us to install our Warn Xeon 12S winch, which has been really reliable up until our last trip. And I have my winch line out and spooled around and hanging out the bottom here, zip tied onto a Factor 55 Ultra hook. My winch died on our last trip. So I've got a replacement motor from Warn that we're gonna be putting in a video or two, but it's gonna require me to pull the whole bumper off to be able to get the winch out. So this has been a really good setup. I really like kind of the stock look of this bumper. And then just recently, a couple videos ago, we added on a couple Baja Designs LP6 Pro lights to the front. And these have their new covers. I've got the black or fully opaque ones to keep my rig street legal, but we've got the LP6s here underneath. And you can pop these on. You can get these in clear to protect them against rocks, as well as amber if you want to change up for dust and you don't want to swap your lenses out. You can put a different cover on. That's our front end right now. So this is working really good, but yeah, we're gonna have to fix our winch. So the other lights that I kind of snuck on here without putting them in a video, we added the Baja Designs Squadron Amber fog light replacement kit. So I replaced the LED fog lights with these yellow ones. Yellow light is generally regarded as better in fog and dust, and so I thought it was a good idea to swap out the fog lights to something with an amber lens on them, as well as it gives the Jeep more of a unique look when you have these on with your regular headlights. And when we have the winch out, we're gonna be swapping out the winch line to this new Spydera night line. This is a 3/8 by 100 foot line. I really like this because it's it's bright and easy to see. So when you have your winch line out and people are walking around, they can see that it's extended. And it also has a reflective weave in it. So if you're out doing recoveries at night, you'll be able to see this a little better. So around to the back of the vehicle, to answer the question, what tire carrier and rear bumper are we running? This is the Warn Elite bumper as well as tire carrier. So we've replaced the factory steel bumper and we've put this new one on and the tire carrier. You can buy them separate, so you can get just the bumper, but you wanna make sure you get the one that is compatible with the tire carrier if you were planning to maybe swap it out or upgrade to it. The thing that I really like about this bumper is how it wraps around and integrates into where the side fenders are as well. These corner pieces here act as a really good step, so when you need to get up to your rooftop tent or grab your gear, you've got a really good step up on the back. I didn't want a tight bumper that just came to the edge of the Jeep, then I wouldn't be able to step on it, as well as it's nice and clean and rolls around the side into the fender and looks more stockish. The other thing with this tire carrier is you've got a mounting spot here on the side. So Warn does sell some different accessory mounts like a Rotopax mount. I've got the high lift jack mount on it, so you can add some things to it. The only thing that I am not a huge fan of is where the license plate mounts. Because of the way the body moves independently of the frame, the license plate has actually kind of hit some of the body on my Jeep a little bit. I'm looking at picking up a license plate relocation mount. I want to put it up here on the spare tire with the camera, with the light and everything. I think it'll just look a little bit better and cleaner. Before we get to talking about the big thing on the roof, we'll just cover a couple more lights that we have installed. So we're kind of midway through a lighting installation project that we've partnered up with Baja Designs on. But up here on the pillars, we've got a pair of their S1 lights. So these also have their covers on them, which keep them street legal here because we can't have uncovered lights. But we've got their S1 spot beam, which I have directed a little higher than the LP6s and into the distance. And we have the wide lens on these lower ones, which are for cornering and giving you that sort of ditch light and allowing you to see around corners, which we end up on quite often with some of these switchbacks. So it's nice to be able to see where your tire is gonna go, and you can't really get that with the front lights on the bumper. And these are just mounted onto a pair of metal cloak brackets. which is all integrated into the Adventure Rack system. So let's talk about our rack system and rooftop tent now. Now, I do have a soft top, so I had to find a roof rack that would work well with that. And Adventure Rack Systems has just the thing. We added this roof rack back in the spring, and we put it through its paces going through some of the trails that we've had to cross in some of our adventures. So we've got the full Adventure Rack Pro system on here. As well, we have the tubeless catwalk across the front, so it's really handy if you need to get up, well, access any part of your windshield, but as well, if you need to get to the latches or your rooftop tent from the front, it's just kind of a handy little thing. Plus, I really like the look that it gives it. So we've got the front hoop on here, which you can buy separate and is standalone, and then we've added the rails to the back, and we've got the rear hoop. We've also added some handles to the back of it. We have the accessory mount on the back hoop as well, holding on our shovel and axe. On top of that, we have the Free Spirit Recreation Evolution tent, which is a 4-window tent that goes straight up, and which is great because when you set up, it doesn't matter which way your vehicle's positioned. In the morning, you're gonna be able to pop one of those windows open and have an excellent view. Well, assuming you got to somewhere with an excellent view. But I really like how quick that goes up, and it's got the tri-layer material on the side, so it's really dark. So if it's bright out in the morning, it helps keep the sunlight out and lets you sleep in a little bit, as well as it adds some insulating value to the tent, which helps keep you warm. And where we are, it's cold, it's December, and we still go camping. And the other thing that I've added to the doors are the metal cloak flip out steps. So these are really handy for using to climb up and onto the catwalk, but as well when I'm putting the tent away and I have my ladder put away, I use these to walk around the side of the Jeep and help get the material put away into the tent. And they're just nice to have, really easy to install, and only takes you a second, like that, to flip them open. And the other thing that I just recently added to the Jeep was this pull-out awning from Rome Adventure Co. I used the new mounts that Adventure Rack System has designed for their rack to be able to add the awning onto the side. And as we moved into the winter and we start doing more camping in wet weather, which I think actually might start raining here fairly soon, I thought it was a good idea to add an awning to the Jeep. And this is the side where I keep all my kitchen equipment and food, so it's easy to access. As well, if it's raining, I can pull out the awning. Okay, so where are we at with cost on all of these exterior mods? Well, the wheels and tires are quite expensive. The Teraflex Nomad wheels are about $490 each. So that's gonna cost around $2,500 for a set of 5 of them. As well, we need to put tires on them. And right now, those trail grapplers are about $575 each. So the Warn Xeon 12S winch right now is about $2,300. The Factor 55 Ultra Hook is about $375. The Fair Lead from Warn, which is their Elite Fair Lead, is about $150. The Nightline Winch Line, say that 10 times fast. The Warn Nightline synthetic line that we're going to be replacing the factory line with is about $450. And the winch mount, which you do need a mounting solution if you're going to use the factory bumper with a winch. It doesn't have to be from Warn. There are several other ones out there, but the Warn one is about $475. For the lighting, the Baja Designs LP6 Pros, and this is the driving spot combos. These are $575 each, as well as the covers are about 20 bucks or so. The Squadron replacement fog lights are about $470, and the S1 pod lights are about $250 a pair. So we've got 2 pairs on there, so about 500 bucks. As for the Adventure Rack Pro setup, so that's the front hoop, the rails, and the rear hoop, is around $2,500. And to add the catwalk to that is about $460. We've got about another $450 in mounts for the grab handles in the rear, as well as the accessory mount and I'm not sure if the awning mount is out yet, but it's being prototyped. And then the awning is about $400. And then on top of the rack, we have the Free Spirit Recreation Evolution tent, which is around $4,775 Canadian. So all total for the exterior mods, it's around $15,000 or so. And then on top of that, what we've already talked about with the suspension and steering at around $11,750. All right, so we've covered steering and suspension, exterior mods. Let's take a look at what we've installed inside, and I'll tell you just how much that costs to do. Okay, around the back of the Jeep is where we have the most going on. Back here is where I have my onboard air. So I have an ARB twin compressor mounted onto the rear tailgate, and that is mounted onto a JCR Molly panel for the rear tailgate. As well, I have the ARB airline and digital tire inflator. And then the other thing that I added was the Tuffy security deck to the rear of the Jeep. So what this does is encloses the whole cargo area halfway up. And when you close your tailgate and lock it, you can't access any of this gear from inside the vehicle. So this allows me to store some of my more expensive stuff, like my tools that I bring out, and I can put my camera in there if I'm leaving the vehicle for a short period of time. But I've also got some of my accessories, my Jackery, and my Dometic battery that I carry with me. And I'm not going to get into all of the accessories that we bring in this video. We're just going to talk about mods that we've installed on the Jeep itself. So we don't have a lot of interior mods in the Jeep, but going to the driver's area or the front area is where I've installed most of the stuff. And above me, I also purchased JCR's overhead Molly panel, which has allowed me to organize and mount a lot of additional gear. I have a gear bag up there, which has easy access to my shackles. I have a fire extinguisher as well as a break the glass tool. And I also have my radio and spot satellite communicator all mounted along the top. So everything's out of the way, nice and organized. And I would highly recommend getting some overhead Molly panel solution, whether it's from JCR or there's several of the companies that offer different variations of it. Really, really handy place to store your gear. Now with the soft top, I have a few inches above it, which is really nice, which you won't get if you have the hard top and the Freedom panels. And so above it, I'm also able to store things like some cold weather gear. So I keep a heated vest up there, as well as I put my jacket up there, and I keep a couple hats up there so they're easy to grab and easy to access. So the other thing that I've installed is on the dash, and that is the 67 Designs JL rail system. And this has allowed me to have a nice place to mount my GoPro camera, which is forward facing, as well as sometimes I mount one looking at me to talk to, but I also have my phone mount and charger mounted to that as well, using their ball mounts and carbon fiber arms. And so as for a radio and different communications devices, I'm using a Yasuo, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's a FTM 400 XDR. I know a lot of people ask me what type of radio I'm running, but as well, for communications, we have the Spot satellite communicator, which is great because you can have real-time tracking enabled on it, and you can send a link to your family and they can kind of keep an eye on where you are or your friends. And I can also send text messages and emails over it, and I can use it if something happens and we need emergency services. We can hit the SOS button. So let's take a look at some of the costs of those interior mods and add them up. The ARB twin compressor and inflator, which you can find as a kit, will run about $885. The rear Molly panel on the tailgate that we have that compressor mounted to from JCR is about $200. The Tuffy security enclosure, which is going to secure all your cargo in your cargo area of your Jeep, those are about $670. The overhead rack in the front that we have all of our gear mounted to from JCR is $245. The radio that I'm using, the Yasuo radio, is about $830. A Spot satellite communicator is going to run about $250. And then the JL rail system for the dash from 67 Designs, when you include a couple ball mounts and some carbon fiber arms, it's going to run you about $150 or so, depending on how many things you want to attach to it. You can buy additional arms in different lengths and add more ball mounts to it, so that's kind of handy. And then we also have one of the rails across the top that I've bolted on to the overhead rack, and I have a couple more other arms, and that's what the radio and satellite communicator are mounted to. So all total in interior mods is around $4,200. Okay, so at the start I mentioned to build this Jeep, including the Jeep, you're over $100,000 Canadian. So if we add up all of the cost of the different mods, we're sitting at around $31,000 before taxes for all of the mods to build this Jeep, plus the cost of the Jeep itself. And so speccing this Jeep out right now on jeep.ca with no discounts, I'm not even sure if you can get a discount on a new Jeep right now, we're looking at about $72,000, and then we add the $31,000 to that, $103,000 plus taxes, sitting at around $116,000, $117,000 after taxes and parts to buy everything you see here. We also have to think about labor. Lots of the stuff you can do yourself. There's a lot of simple projects. I've got a lot of videos. Go check out all of my mod installations. There's a playlist I'll put up in the corner. So if we were to ballpark labor, taxes, mods, and the cost of the Jeep, I would say that this is about $120,000 Canadian to just buy everything and have a turnkey, crazy Overland rig. I'm pretty transparent on the channel, and this is all retail costs. You can get deals on stuff, you can buy used parts, and parts have been provided to me to make videos with, as well as discounts, but that never will influence what parts that I choose. I only work with companies that I believe in their product, I get excited about it, and everything has to be high quality and durable, because I go out off-roading a lot and camping and overlanding very frequent and through all weather conditions, so I need good quality stuff. I hope you guys have a great holidays and Happy New Year, and I will see you guys next week in the next video.